Shema everyone, is JonnyVR here back with another Doctor Who review. This week I'm reviewing Wishworld, except, I can feel a bit dizzy. I think, something's going to happen. I think I'm bi-generating. Oh my word.
What?
What?
No. How can it be?
So, guys, I had the privilege of watching this episode with my friend Dan. So we're going to do a joint review. Same as always, we're going to go spoiler-free to begin with, and we'll give you a spoiler warning when we start talking about specifics of the episode. We just finished watching, so we have no idea what we think. So here's the spoiler-free section. Daniel, how do you want to begin?
I don't know where to start with the spoiler-free bit.
Spoiler-free. For me, it's the last but one episode.
Yeah.
For me, unfortunately, this is the last 5-minute episode.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's a two-parter. It's setting up for a big finale. I do think that the whole point of this episode is the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, the thing with penultimate episodes is that they're all set up, and how good they are depends on the final episode. If the final episode falls like the previous season, the episode before becomes nothing.
Yeah.
In a sense. So
Yeah. I think this I hate to say it, but this episode, this penultimate episode, did feel quite thin on plot.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like Wishworld, it didn't really, like, when you think of Wishworld now, I think you will think about what it builds up to and not the actual setup. Because if you think of, what is the plot of Wishworld, you're like, even right now, I just watched it, I'm like,
Yeah, like, lots of things just repeat itself throughout the episode. Until the last 5 minutes in which all the information is given. But again, that just depends on...
And
the final episode. And
it was a lot of information. Like, I think the whole is really, I feel like I'm a little frustrated actually, because like all throughout the episode, you kind of understand what's going on as a viewer, and then watching like the characters. Yes, there's like good mix of characters that we've come to know, but like you kind of as a viewer like, okay, what are we building up towards here? Because I feel like it doesn't really break any new ground. I feel like this kind of, if you were to give Wishworld a story, I feel like we have seen this kind of things before in other episodes.
Throughout the episode we kept on going, this reminds me of from this episode, this scene reminds me of this episode from 10 years ago.
And it was exactly like, it brings to mind episodes, like really good episodes from the past, right, that have done this sort of thing before.
But this time, this never stands as strong as any of those those episodes because
you need to watch it with the next one for sure. I'm gonna see this episode again in the cinema next week, right? But it's going to be like, nearly an hour of going through this just to get to the finale in the cinema.
I think you're going to find the first 40 minutes even more frustrating in the cinema.
Yeah, like having watched it like once and being like, okay, now I need to know what we're going through to get to the finale. I kind of, like, there's no doubt, like, these actors are, like, really good. But, like, I was so frustrated because, like, I feel like given the thinness of the plot and the setup, like I felt frustrated because like there's not much more they can do with what they've been given in this episode.
We'll always keep coming back to it, but it all hinges on next week. And where it continues, where it goes, and see how it lands as well.
Well, I think we pretty much can't go any more without
no, you can't really mention any of the episodes without talking about specifics,
So, here's your spoiler warning. Now we're going to talk about the episode. Dan, why, like, the whole episode, like, was like this, like you said, the silence of the library, the forest of the dead, that make-believe world.
that the characters themselves believe is true, and when someone tells them it's not true, they're like, no, how dare you?
And it's exactly the same. Like, when Ruby appears at the door and she's like, but you don't have a baby, like, she's not real, like, and the doctor's like, how can you say that? That's like almost word for word what Donna says in Forest of the Dead.
Yeah, when she's told her children aren't real.
So at this moment we were like, yeah, Forest of the Dead. And it really does, it's not more than that. It doesn't add any more. It's been done before.
And like, it's also not as good as when it was done in Forest of the Dead as well. So
yeah. And I think this is the thing. Forest of the Dead has this part of the episode, but it has also the other parts where it's taking place in the real world. This one is like the entire fake world. And as a viewer, you're like, you know this is fake.
Yeah.
And you know that they don't know they're in a fake world. So this is what I was saying, that the whole episode, even right until the very end, when the doctor is like doubting the world, you're like, oh my gosh, when is he going to realize that it is a fake world?
Yeah. But
the whole 40 minutes is like, but, this is how life is. And when he comes into like doubt and things, he's like, well, this can't be right. My reality is true. And it's not just the doctor. It's every character, isn't it? Every single character.
And I think it was quite like obvious that the world had been wished by Conrad. Mm-hmm. So that's like not a revelation there. Sort of knew that, and it took 40 minutes to get that information. Yeah. So it's like, I knew that from the start. It was really obvious. Like, yeah, it was really, really obvious.
I think like once in the beginning of the episode where they established this fake world, that's a bit weird. Again, I also thought like, you remember the Wedding of River song when Matt Smith's doctor doesn't die, and then all of a sudden this really weird fake world appears with like,
yes, yeah,
like it feels a bit like that as well. So like this world where everything is a little bit strange, like Unit is not Unit, but it looks like it was like set like
there's insurance now,
and the outfits look all kind of old timey, and like this kind of fake world with really like weird things like big bone creatures wandering around London.
Yeah, didn't really explain them.
Didn't explain, but it's like it has been done before, this sort of thing.
Yeah. It is very Wedding River song, which when you mentioned, then I had to try and remember what happened in that episode because I've only watched it like twice in my life. So.
I think as well, like if you think about the plot of this episode is like people not realizing they're in a fake reality, but we are like watching them knowing it's fake reality, and it's like, okay, when are they going to realize? What is the Rani's plan? Like, why is she doing what she's doing, isn't it? I think of the main things that happen in this episode, actually plot-wise, is Ruby actually realizing and meeting up with other people who realize. Yeah. Like, and we both have thought that kind of was imitating another episode of Doctor Who. Yeah, as well, which we said, like the way that the people who realize are kind of like on the outskirts, like refugees and like forgotten about, like kind of in Utopia. But
like literally the way that they walk through all these like tents of people that are homeless is exactly like Utopia from 2007.
Yeah.
So
it's just like
we're just repeating things here.
I think it was interesting that like. The reason why Ruby can see through it is because of 73 yards. Yeah. I think that 73 yards has come back so many times as kind of like an important episode, like, for Ruby. Like, do you reckon there's going to be anything more about that? Or do you reckon that's just going to be the explanation?
I think they needed a reason for her to be one of the ones that could see life isn't as it should be, but wasn't one of the refugee people. Like they just needed one of those. I still don't really get how they had a tablet.
That's the plot. Like she just pulled it out of
and then a tripod appeared.
And then a tripod appeared, and they can look see exactly.
And literally, like a minute earlier, you have two people who are using a wheelchair and Ruby, and the three of them are going, and none of them are holding a tripod. And then all of a sudden, the tripod appears, and the tablet's in it, and it's like. Yeah.
It goes,
come on.
like, There's quite a lot of build up. You like in the early seasons, Ruby knows what's going on or kind of is suspicious, and then you kind of she meets these people who are also suspicious, and then like all of a sudden it's all systems go. The revolution is on. Like it goes.
But they don't do anything in this episode.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean,
actually,
in the next episode they could, but if they don't, then it feels like the whole story of them is just a waste of time.
Because
they have to do something next episode, otherwise it is just a waste of time.
It ends with them using the iPad to see inside the building, and then
I mean, at least they weren't watching a previous episode of Doctor Who last year.
Yeah. So that was one thing I think plot wise, it's a bit of a slow burn, but that's something that probably will come into play next week. The other thing that I thought was like the plot that happens was, well, I'm not entirely sure. We got Susan appearing again a little bit on the TV, and you got Rogue from last season.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to be important? Is he going to come back? Or is he just there to give some...
No, yeah, I think it was literally just to ramp up the Doctor's doubt to like 70% or whatever number it was. So then he had to be arrested. I think it was literally just for that. In which case, again, just seems like a bit too convenient of a thing to happen.
Yeah, I feel like
reoccurring theme now.
I said to Daniel, I was wondering when he was gonna appear again, because like the way they ended it, they could not just leave him there forever. But the place that he was in, like he called it a hell dimension, and it was like green screen background with the fire and smoke.
Very badly. Smoke in the background.
So that was what, and then he kind of like gives the information.
Also, his accent and the way he talks, he is so Captain Jack 2.0. It's unreal. Like,
yes, definitely. Like you could totally imagine that being Jack.
Yeah, like you could swap the characters and it would be it would work exactly the same. Obviously, we know why Jack hasn't come back, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But like again, is he going to come back? Maybe not next week, but will he come back? Maybe in the future.
What, Rogue?
Yeah, who knows?
Well, depends if what happens with Ncuti, I guess, because I don't really see the point in Rogue coming back if there's a new Doctor.
True.
What's the point?
Yeah, there would need to be a whole episode about him if he was to come back, isn't it? You can't just have him as half an episode or 10 minutes here or there.
What was the guy's name in the one when Jodie regenerated and he just appears and then his ship is there, but then ends up like that's when
his ship is where? Who's that guy?
The guy from Flux. Like he was out in space.
What
was his name?
Vinda? No.
Maybe it was Vinda, yeah.
Vinda.
Or something like that.
I think.
But like, how he just appears randomly in that regeneration story, like he didn't have to be there.
Yeah. It's kind of like, will he appear or
will Rogue do something like that, or will he actually have like an important
solid
episode?
part 2, to that? We'll see. Again, Susan just kind of also just appears like she did in the last episode.
I guess she's just working for Unit, and they were just like, you work for Unit, you work for Unit, you work for Unit, you guys stay in here.
Yeah, for sure. And then so the other thing plot wise, I think, was the Rani's whole thing. Like, first of all, there was the baby, and the baby is kind of important. Baby of a god of a pantheon.
So the baby is the god of wishes. How that baby is, I don't really know. It wasn't really fully explained, or I just didn't understand it completely.
I mean, like, I think considering we'll get to the end of the episode now, which is the biggest reveal, like, how the baby fits into that. The big reveal at the end makes the baby seem like is just a way to get to the big reveal, Like, I thought the baby was going to be important. I thought the baby was going to be like, villain number 3, but when grown up, But it seems like they were just using the baby for, to get to the end of the episode.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that.
But we'll see. I mean, there's this whole pantheon of gods now, and I think, slowly there's more of them, and I think...
I still don't fully understand the whole the two Ranis, because for now Rani talks to the other one like, you're not the Rani, even though she says she is.
I think that you probably touched on something that I didn't consider, but probably is an important point.
Whereas the 14th and 15th are like, we are doctors,
I think,
just separated, whereas the Ranis doesn't feel like that.
I think probably, like, I was noticing the way that after Mrs. Flood kind of becomes like the servant to the new Rani.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, oh, that's a bit of a waste, really, because Mrs. Flood was kind of like showing herself to be kind of intimidating throughout her little cameos over the last 2 seasons. But then I was thinking, whenever she's not with the new Rani, she shows that again. Yeah. But when she's with the new Rani, she goes back into servant mode. Yeah. So I think that dynamic is going to maybe be the Rani's undoing. The fact that this Rani is now the servant but doesn't really want to be.
And I've thought this, and I think it is, if we're all thinking it, it's going to be the obvious thing that's going to happen, in which case that's way too obvious and way too convenient, because one Rani treated the other one badly. It's just like...
Yeah, I think this is going to be...
I hope that's not the reason.
It looks like it though, doesn't it? It's like I feel like that's probably one sort of arc that they're setting up.
Or they're gonna like, I don't know if they can ever give like Conrad like a, he finally becomes good, but even then, with everything that he's thought and done, I don't know.
He's quite evil though. He's quite twisted.
Yeah, but he was showing a bit of, not a bit of doubt in that episode, but he seemed like quite a bit. I don't know, like tired, and I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, he seems like he's being used as well. Yeah. More than like him being like in on the plan from the beginning. He is tired, like you said. So like, we just kind of have to wait and see where everyone ends up at the end of the next episode.
Do you want to touch the final bit?
The final thing,
which I knew,
which you knew, was big reveal. We were talking in the episode. We were like, this is what the whole episode has been building up to.
Yeah, like the hinting of someone's coming back. Yeah. And it's obviously going to be someone that we know of, so who is it?
The one who is lost to go for the one who waits, which is the previous one. And it turned out to be Omega. And I had no idea because I didn't read any of the leaks beforehand.
We've been waiting since like 2017 for
so much so.
Like in that final, in which season was it?
Series 10.
Season 10.
When they were on a ship next to a black hole, and we were like, Omega was in a black hole.
No, the amount of messages we sent each other where we were convincing ourselves Omega was going to be in that episode, and then he was, and we were like,
Yeah. But man, it's going to happen.
But he's back.
It's going to happen.
I was thinking it would actually make sense for it to have been, because you thought it was going to be the Trickster.
Yeah.
It would have made sense in the fact that the Trickster does create
new alternate realities.
Yeah. And in this case, that would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think
the only problem is, because he's been defeated by kids and Sarah Jane, consistently Sarah Jane, it's like, if the Doctor doesn't defeat him, damn, you suck. Whereas I feel like he's such though a fan favorite just from that spin-off show, like that, and he was Russell T Davis's creation, right? He made this, so I do feel like people would want him to come back in Doctor Who as the main villain, like with high stakes and like much bigger plans. I don't know if just because Sarah Jane can never come back, if maybe he's just like that'll always be a legacy to Sarah Jane, that one of the most remembered villains. She only ever fought, no one else. I think that's kind of a nice way of.
Yeah, I think it's just when in the last season, penultimate episode, when they start listing and name dropping like Trickster, Mara, and all these famous villains from the past, you're like, oh, like they should maybe bring these back, But again, the thing is, as we learned from Lux, and now with this baby, I think it was called Desidrium or something like that. The baby god of dreams. This list that they named of the gods is not a complete list because Lux wasn't there and this baby wasn't there. So the pantheon is bigger than maybe we expect it to be, and it could be anything.
Yeah, it seems like it's just open ended, so that he can just pick and choose when he wants, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it all depends on next week. If next week sucks, then this episode falls into the gutter.
What I
falls into the underverse.
In the underverse, this is where Omega apparently is. Yeah. And I tell you, if Omega doesn't have a massive bucket head helmet, they've ruined. Like they need to have Omega with a helmet. I mean,
no, that's why we were convinced he was going to appear in 2017, because we went to the museum thing. What was it called? Not Doctor Experience. What was it called? The Experience?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, the Doctor Experience in Cardiff Bay, and the costume for Omega wasn't there.
Oh, yeah!
And we were like, they're filming with it. It's obvious, they're going to film. They needed the costume for Omega, so they just took it. And that's why we were like, it's happening. It's absolutely
They need to get a good actor to be Omega. Like,
who played him before?
I don't know, but...
Probably dead.
Yeah, I think...
Wait, who voiced Sutek?
It was the same guy who voiced Sutek.
So maybe
we'll have to quick Google search after this video. But I think if he's got to have a cool helmet, even if he takes it off.
I'll have a look now.
You know, to see somebody acting,
Yeah.
I would love to see a modern version of that Omega helmet.
It's a shame we didn't see him in that episode.
Yeah, kind of like even a glimpse would have been pretty cool. Maybe they'll release some sort of teaser at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it actually.
Yeah.
Not much else big to discuss. All on next week.
Yeah, he died in 2019.
There we are then.
So it's going to be a different actor for Omega.
So, overall, we think majority setup. It's a last 5 minutes episode with a big reveal. Overall, not much happening that we don't already see happening.
It's just, I don't know, I find it frustrating. Like, when you look at RTD1, even in his penultimate episodes, even though they would set up, there would be a whole plot of what was going on. Like, you know, in season 1 you have they're playing the whole games and everything. Like that's a whole episode in itself which you can watch and enjoy.
Exactly.
With Army of Ghosts in season 2, you know, that's a whole episode in itself.
Yeah.
With Torchwood that, you know, you can watch by yourself, and it. You know, you can enjoy it.
You spend a lot of this episode just waiting for the next episode. Like, now I've got to wait a week for the next episode.
And you're literally not fed information until the final 5 minutes.
And when it is, it's a whole lot of information.
Yeah, like you could have done it a bit throughout the episode, a little bit here and there.
Yeah,
like.
And they even made kind of a reference in the episode that it was a lot of exposition.
Yeah, she said the word exposition.
And I was like, well,
this isn't just exposition, because he was, I think, he knew when he was writing it, like, people are going to have a dig at me about all this exposition. This isn't exposition.
It's meant to be like this, guys.
Well, yeah, I get that. But, like, it makes the way he words it makes sense for the story, but also.
So all in all, it's next week that we have to wait and see. That we have to judge this as a kind of a duo. We're gonna give this a score out of 10. Okay, and we're gonna say it in 3 seconds.
Okay. Let me just think of
we're gonna say it together, so we're not influenced.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1, 6. There we are, I have it. It's a 6 out of 10. So I'm gonna be back next week, maybe a little bit late after I get back from the cinema. But stay tuned, like and subscribe. It was a pleasure to do a review with my friend this time.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah.
What do you mean, your friend? We're the same person. We bi-generated. I am John.
My underling, my servant here. Yeah. So yeah, guys, if you like this video, like, subscribe, and hopefully see you next week for the finale.
What?
End of the season already.
Unbelievable.
So what can we say? It's goodbye for now. Bye.
Bye.